Here are the markings used in a typical scoring game in bowling. An X represents a strike. A diagonal slash represents a spare. F in the box represents a foul when somebody went over the foul line. A 0 represents a split, and a slash straight across represents a miss. Now let's look at a typical score sheet. Remember, bowling is a cumulative score game. A strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls, and a spare is 10 plus the next shot. In this first frame, I knocked down 7 pins in my first ball, but it was a split. Let's say the 4, 6, 10, as indicated by that 0 up in that right-hand box. That indicates a split. Then I went for the split, missing all the pins, as indicated by that little slash across the 0, and my cumulative score for the first frame was 7. Now into the second frame, I threw the ball really well, and I got a strike, as indicated by that X up in the box. Now remember, a strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls rolled down the lane. I came up in the third frame, and lo and behold, another strike. 2 in a row we call the sport of bowling a double. Now let's remember these 2 strikes. The one in the second frame is 10 plus the next 2 balls. The one in the third frame is 10 plus the next 2 balls. So as we come into the fourth frame, we'll have to trail back into the score sheet. I got 8 on my first ball in the fourth frame, as indicated by the 8 up there on the score sheet. Now that reflects the score in the second frame. The second frame strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls. The third frame, the first ball I got a strike, that makes it 20. And in the fourth frame I got 8, that makes it 28, indicated by the 35 in the second frame. Remember, 7 in the first, 28 more, makes 35 in the second frame. Now into the fourth frame again. We have a strike up in the third. We have 8 on the first ball, and we missed all the pins. Left 2 remaining, as indicated by that slash up there in the box. Now that indicates 18 into the third frame. So 35 and 18 is 53. Remember, that strike was 10 plus the next 2 balls, and that was 8 and 0. Now the cumulative score carries on, so you have 8 and 0, indicating 61 in the fourth. Now into the fifth frame. Once again, I made a good shot, a strike in the fifth. Remember, the strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls. Now into the sixth frame. I came up in the sixth frame, and lo and behold, disaster hit. The old G, gutter ball, 0 on the first shot. So that doesn't have any effect on the fifth frame yet, that strike, because remember, that strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls. On my second shot in the sixth frame, I knocked down 9 pins. And that gives me a cumulative score of 9 for that frame, but it goes all the way back to the fifth. That strike is 10 plus the next 2 balls. The next 2 balls were 0 and 9, and indicated by 19 being added to the 61 in the fourth. Now we have 80 in the fifth, and then we missed in the sixth frame, cumulative score 89. As we go to the seventh frame, we knocked down 8 pins on the first ball, as indicated by the 8 in the corner. We converted the spare. Remember, a spare, as indicated up in that box, the diagonal line, is 10 plus the next ball rolled down the lane. So let's see what I did in the eighth frame. Once again, disaster struck. An F. That's a foul. Now, a foul is any time you cross the foul line with any part of your body, and regardless of how many pins you knock down, you still have to take 0 for that particular shot. So that relates back to the seventh frame. My spare was 10 plus the next ball, and the foul is 0, so I only get a credit for 10 in the seventh frame. So now I have 99. Now when you have a foul, you must reset all the pins knocked down and shoot it a full rack again. That was done, and I knocked down 9 of the pins, giving me 108, my cumulative score, through 8 frames. In the ninth frame, once again, I knocked down 9 pins on the first ball and converted the spare easily, as indicated by the diagonal line up in the box. As we go into the 10th frame, my first ball in the 10th frame was a strike. Now that allows me to have 2 more shots in the 10th frame, and also relates back to the 9th frame. You had a spare, which is 10 pins in the 9th frame, added to the next ball, which was a strike, that's 10 more, that's 20, as indicated by the cumulative score 128 in the 9th frame. Now into the 10th, I throw my second shot in the 10th. Remember, the first strike allows me to throw 2 more balls in the 10th frame. I got another strike. So I have 1 more shot coming up in the 10th frame. I'm entitled to a last shot, and on that last shot, I once again got a strike. 3 strikes in a row. It's called a turkey in the game of bowling. And remember, the cumulative score carries forward. The first strike in the 10th frame was 10 plus the next 2 balls. The next 2 balls were both 10s. So I have a 30 for that 10th frame, and end up with a final score of 158.